What up? This is the Gopher Broke podcast. I mean, it's a new name. We're going to have to get used to flowing that one right out of the intro, but hopefully you are ready to lock in and talk Golden Gophers football with me and Tristyn Spann-Ford once a week. We're at it. We are not on the daily, but we're going to make sure that you love and enjoy and embrace every second of Gophers content we've got going for you. There's a lot to talk about today, but I'm excited to be back on the airwaves and doing our own thing. How you feeling, Tristyn?
I am super excited. I feel like, I was withdrawn before because I didn't want you to lose your job. And now it's kind of our own issue where I'm off the leash. I can just kind of say whatever, and I only have to deal with you being mad at me, and that's it.
Yeah, and I mean, I feel like I won't be mad either. So just go buck wild at this point. I mean, you might as well. But yeah, something fun with the name "Go for Broke." I mean, if you don't know the phrase, usually when you're going for broke, you're risking it all and you're going for it all. But also, I mean, we could have a play on words here. Gophers broke. Like, do they have enough NIL? Can we keep it going? I mean, there's all sorts of different things. Gopher broke. Like the Gophers broke you down, and that's why we just won the game. We could have all sorts of fun with this one.
Oh yeah, it's pretty universal name there.
All right, but we're going to dive into football because nobody actually listens because they like us. They just want to hear information about the Gophers, and they say, get straight to the point, boys. Don't talk about fun things. Don't talk about life. Don't talk about your hobbies or your passions. We're here for the football. So we're going to talk about the Whoopin. And you know what? Since I am not on the airwaves with a network right now, I can say ass whooping. I apologize to the families out there if we have a family friendly show. We won't swear too much, but now we have a little bit of leeway to let it go. So yes, absolute ass whooping that the Gophers gave to the Wisconsin Badgers. And look, Wisconsin shouldn't have even scored. I mean, it was 24-7, but they got a touchdown off of a very poor penalty by Joey Gerlach. But how are you feeling? We got the Axe back. We came back home. Max Brosmer was like, what up? I mean, the Gophers bring the Axe back. How are you feeling after that game?
It was the absolute perfect way to finish the season. Like, I couldn't have imagined a better way to do it. I think we talked about it before. I did put it out there. I said, Wisconsin's a bad football team. They're not good this year. They're not good right now, and that's fine. They'll bounce back, but next year, that's going to be a fight again. Every single year, Wisconsin game could go either way, regardless of how bad each team is. And it is an all-time rivalry in sports, and it couldn't have been more perfect. We've not dominated. I don't think I've ever seen us dominate Wisconsin like that in the last 5-6 years. So it was great. It was awesome way.
Oh, it felt so good. I mean, you talk about domination. You're talking about we held Wisconsin to 3 conversions of 14 attempts on 3rd and 4th down. They couldn't even get a first down, for God's sake. Like, it was tough sledding. They had 130 pass yards, 36 running yards, 166 total yards of offense. I mean, they had them strapped. We're not going to get any penalties thrown our way for brandishing a weapon or anything like that, but apparently that will get you one if you do the seatbelt, because you're saying you're strapped. And so that could be looked at as
it's going too far.
A weapon inference. You know, everything is technical.
Too far.
Yes,
this is going too far.
But Darius Taylor, my boy, Darius Taylor, 143 yards on the ground. I love it. I love it because, you know, everybody had been a little bit weary of like, is he hurt? Should he be playing? We really need him. What's going on? And he's like, yo, it's Axe game. If I'm hurt, if I'm not, I'm going to run the ball all over Wisconsin. How are you feeling seeing Darius Taylor get 32 carries and 143 yards?
I can't lie and say that there wasn't a point where I was a brief moment. It was the quickest moment where I was kind of like, would have been sick if this could have happened all year. But he'll be back. He'll be back. And it was awesome. It was awesome.
He will be back. And today we're going to talk about some of the Gophers that are going to be back. We're going to talk about some of the Gophers that are departing. We're going to talk about some of the names in the transfer portal that could be headed our way. And there are some big, exciting ones in there. But overall, I mean, when we were talking about this Wisconsin matchup, we were saying it's probably going to be close. It's a rivalry game. No, we whooped them. And even better, we broke their 22-year bowl game streak. Have fun watching from the couch, my friends. Like, It's a wrap. It's a wrap. It made it that much sweeter. You get the axe back. You see Max Brosmer. We only get 1 year with the boy, but he gets to experience the rival victory, the trophy, chopping down the goalpost. Daniel Jackson came up huge in this one as well with 61 yards and a touchdown. Eliza Spencer had 75 yards. Overall, man, I just want to know, what was your favorite moment from the Gophers versus Wisconsin game?
It's always the end. It's always chopping down the field goal post. It's just everyone's smiling. It's the best atmosphere ever. The photos on social media afterwards, you got locker room photos. It's awesome. It's just the greatest celebration. We could go undefeated or not win a game, and there would still be an electricity about celebrating beating Wisconsin. I don't want to test that, but there would be. It's that important. It is that important, and it feels so good to break the bowl streak. I can tell Wisconsin fans probably were not wanting to go to a bowl. That's the thing. That's how their season went. It was the point where they're probably just like, we need to be done. We'll try again next year, but it still feels so good.
I'm with you 100%. And also, I loved seeing how hyped and fired up Coy Parrish was on the sidelines. Like, let's go! Let's go! You could just tell the passion. The Minnesota kid gets his first rivalry dub, and then he locks in, and he says he's coming back. So let's talk about the Gophers moving forward. Let's talk about the future of this team, because, yes, we have a bowl game. The season isn't officially over. We'll talk a little bit about the bowl game at the end of today's show, and definitely on the next show as we get closer to that bowl game. But I do want to talk about the Gophers that are staying and going. So we have official I'm back. I guess you can call them commitments. It's hard to say commitment in the college landscape. I get a little bit of trauma every once in a while because, like, committed just doesn't mean what it used to mean. If I told my wife I was committed and meant it like a college football player means to their schools, bro, woo, it would be a rough life. But let's talk about the players that are locked in and ready to go for 2025. Darius Taylor, running back 1, says he's coming back. Coy Parrish, safety 1, safety starting star, true freshman, all Big Ten first team freshman safety, says he's coming back, which I heard from USC fans and Ohio State fans and all these people like, oh, Coy's going to come to our school. I'm like, bro, why would he want to go to USC? You just lost to us. Why would he want to go to someone he just spanked? Like, come on, what are we doing here?
He's a northern Minnesota boy. He don't want to play nowhere else.
Right.
He's got to be in the cold. He's built for the cold.
Look, if he turned down Ohio State and Florida State off jump, he's not going to switch when he just balled out at home and is literally a celebrity walking in the streets out here in the dinky town cold, okay? So overall, we got those two coming back, but then today, Kerry Brown announces he's coming back. Jalen Logan Redding said he's coming back. Anthony Smith said he's coming back. Devin Eastern said he's coming back. These are some huge starters coming back for this Gophers team, so Dinkytown Athletes is putting in the work. The NIL money is flowing. I mean, we kept two guys that could have got a ton of cash out there. Coy Parrish, Darius Taylor probably could have went almost anywhere in the country, and people would have paid out for them. How do you feel hearing those names coming back, and what's got you excited about next season?
All of it. I'm super excited. I mean, first, I'm super excited about Devin Eastern because there's a ton of younger D linemen coming in, and he's going to be the perfect veteran where he's going to ball out and make everyone else around him better. So when he announced that, I was geeked. Everything about it, I'm just excited. It feels good.
No, I'm with you. We're still waiting on a couple starters that could come back still. Greg Johnson, I imagine he's probably going to come back. Another Minnesota kid that bleeds maroon and gold through and through. Maverick Baranowski, I think we'll probably hear him coming back soon. Phillip Daniels, Ashton Beers, some of the starters that we're hoping will be back for next season. But the biggest question mark, in my opinion, we don't know if he's going. We don't know if he's staying. We don't know what's happening. Cody Lindenberg, is he going to the NFL? Is he going to come run it back for one more final year of eligibility? What are your hopes? Because I know, like, I would love to see Cody go pro. I'd love to see him back for the Gophers, but which way do you lean? Which one do you want the most, and which one do you think will happen?
It is the weirdest feeling when it comes to something like this, because you're like, no, don't go to the NFL, but also like go make all the money in the NFL. Right. Like that's what you want. And so it's a selfish thing. I don't know. I do feel like he's put enough on tape to where he could go to the NFL. Like I don't foresee him struggling at all, and he's such another like natural born leader where he's gonna go wherever whoever picks him up, drafts him, or whoever, he's gonna put in the work. And I don't know. I can't foresee a reason why he would necessarily stay because
Yeah, I think
like I don't see like I don't. I mean, we are going to win a national title next year, and so
you heard it
that's
here first.
unfortunate. I already got us down when the schedule released. I got us at 10-2 next year, so don't even worry about it. Don't even worry about it.
I'm curious what the two are. I thought you would have had us 14-0, 12-0. I don't know what we're doing here.
I got us going 10-2. We drop a couple, but no, I do think he'll be successful as a pro. I want him back, but I say go get your money.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think he should go get the money, and there's two reasons why. The first is health. I mean, Cody has had some issues with injuries, and like he just came off a fully healthy season, so like go get it. Don't risk it. Don't have the potential to come back and get hurt, and then all of a sudden that opportunity from potentially getting drafted turns into like having to earn it the hard way. And I mean, of all people, you know how having to earn it the hard way goes with your brother having to scrap it out to get on the roster and finding valuable minutes. And also to any Gophers fans that are still saying brick hands for Spann-Ford, bruh, leave. Unsubscribe. Leave the podcast. You are not welcome.
It's just mean. It's just mean is what it is. We're nice.
We can't even say they're just kids anymore because that boy is getting paid. That boy's a grown man. Like, but he can handle his own. He doesn't need us defending him. But I will. I will do it
every time.
Anyways, back to the point. I do think Cody, with the injury risks and everything, he should go pro and take that chance, especially because he was voted first team Big Ten by the coaches and the media. I think actually had him as second team. Which media? Shame on you. Like, what are we doing here? We're going to talk about that in a second, too, because I have a bone to pick with some of these Big Ten teams. But overall, Cody should take that. And as well as one thing he has going for him that he could really help his stock if he gets in some of these like talks with the staff and things like that, if he gets like kind of that interview process before the draft, is that he wore the green dot this year. And most college years before this, nobody had the communication systems in their helmet where they're running the defense and communicating with the D coordinator like they do in the NFL. This was the first year that was allowed, and he ran that like a pro. You saw this defense go from a lower tier, struggling, injured team the year before to a top 15 defense in the country, and Cody Lindenberg was at the helm of that moment, communicating, helping this team fire on all cylinders, and that's a huge selling point in my opinion. So those two reasons, I really do think he should go pro.
Yeah, I agree. Especially the health thing that you said before. It would just that's the last thing you want. I don't even want to bring it up. Like if something were to happen and it throws off your future plans, I wouldn't risk it. I wouldn't personally.
I'm with you.
I would be in the NFL, so it's partially that. I like podcasting a lot more.
Yes, that was the reason we didn't make it all the way. It was because we knew deep down, like podcasting that route, it would eventually take off, and you might as well just go that route. You don't have to risk injuries or anything like that. So we're on that front. But let's talk about the players leaving. Now, in these players leaving, some big dogs, some huge contributors. My maybe favorite Gopher of this last season, Daniel Jackson, is one of those players that will be departing. Hopefully he is headed to the NFL. But can we talk about, for just like a slight second, Daniel Jackson didn't make an all Big Ten team? Like, what?
Insane.
What? He was like third or fourth in receptions, in top 6 in receiving yards. You get 2 receivers on every Big Ten team, and there are 3 of them. So if he is top 6 in yards and top 4 in receptions, how the hell is he not a top 6 wide receiver?
It was insane. I thought it was a typo. I was like, did they miss one of his games? They just didn't have the stats for a game or something? Because this is insane.
Or you didn't watch the games? I mean, the man is a walking human highlight. The dude is spinning 360, catching it on his fingertips. He's like, oh, let me fake you out. I'm running. Bam, there's the ball. Like, he is literally everything you would want in a Big Ten receiver. It's just baffling. And he had a better season than last year. And last year, he was second team. What are we doing?
There's 32 offensive coordinators in recruiting rooms right now. that are like, "Ooh, this guy wasn't even on the list. Nobody's gonna know about him," and they're all thinking the same thing.
Right. They're like,
Everybody
this is a
knows about
gem.
him,
This
and
is a
it's like
sleeper.
he's the sleeper, and they're all thinking first rounder.
I'm sure. No, I don't. I mean, I would love to see Daniel Jackson go first round. I
No, no,
guarantee that will not happen. I know you were just
no.
messing, but I really do think he could be a fourth or fifth round guy
Absolutely.
with second or third round talent. Like, and it's just baffling to me that he got left off a list when he was out producing some of the guys that made the list. One of the guys on the list was hurt for half the year. Like, we got to stop the helmet school parts. But I am starting to get on a soapbox. I'm starting to do a TED talk over here on this. But let's talk about the players leaving before I just go off on the Big Ten teams. Max Brosmer, quarterback 1, headed out. Marcus Major, running back 2, headed out. Daniel Jackson, Elijah Spencer, the top 2 receivers. Nick Callerup, Ariante Ursery, Quinn Carroll, Tyler Cooper. That's just the offensive starters leaving. You've also got Ja Joyner, Danny Strigow, Justin Wally, Ethan Robinson, Jack Henderson, and maybe Cody Lindenberg all leaving from the defensive starters. And then you've got both your kicker and your punter leaving. And I haven't even mentioned guys who are in the rotation and things like that. There is a lot of huge contributors leaving for this Gophers team. When I start to list these things off for you again, what are your immediate thoughts? What are your feelings? How are you feeling? As we talked about the good coming in with 2025, Darius Taylor coming back, Coy Parrish coming back, but all these names leaving, how are you feeling overall?
It's overwhelming. I'm gonna have to learn a lot more names for next season. but it is alarming. I mean, it's not even alarming. It's just it's uncomfortable because it's a lot of guys you know. So we're gonna have to go through those same growing pains at the beginning of the year next year. But that's college football. Like it's always gonna be that situation. So we'll be young, but hey, young teams can win national titles too.
Yes, they can. Now, one thing that we do have going for us is there's still a number of like people who saw the field that weren't necessarily starters, so hopefully they can step up into some of that action. But like you said, the beginning could be some growing pains. Now, luckily, we don't have a North Carolina, even though we should have whooped them too, in the beginning of the schedule. We don't have a Nebraska game in the beginning of the schedule. We start off with Buffalo, so that should be a good kind of warm-up game, get things going. If mistakes happen, you're not shooting yourself to the point where you lose the game. Then we've got Northwestern State. I believe they are FCS school. If I'm wrong about that, I don't apologize because I don't know who you are.
I'm sorry.
And then we have Cal, which can be a little bit more serious, but again, not a Big Ten school that you are like, oh crap, we got to have our poop in a group. So that's 3 schools in a row that get progressively better. Actually, decent, terrible, and then
order.
it gets better. Yeah.
That's the perfect order that you wanted in.
Yes. And so that's the nice schedule before you get to that Big Ten schedule overall. But I think that there's going to be a growth curve. There's going to be some ups and downs, some mistakes. And I think that overall, seeing that schedule, it makes me a little less worried that some of those starters will step into bigger opportunities because you have 2 real games right up front to like, look, even if you mess up, we should win this game by 30 points.
Yep,
so
exactly.
On the flip side of it, transfers happen. And the transfer portal is open. We have to talk about some Gophers actually leaving the Minnesota Gophers. None of them that are too impactful. The only ones that kind of hurt a little bit, I would say, are Jordan Newbin, of course, like brother Tyler Newbin, the 200-yard game, like some great memories with him. But I don't blame him either because he wants opportunity. He's like, bro, I had a 200-yard rushing game against a Big Ten school. I'm trying to get the ball. Like, I don't blame him. I wish him nothing but the best. C.A. Bangura, a transfer from last year, running back, he hit the portal as well. So the running back depth is a little low. But outside of that, then it's guys that were walk-ons for the most part or didn't get much time. Tyler Stolsky, Xander Rockow, Hayden Schwartz, Luther McCoy, and Craig McDonald. How are you feeling about those names leaving and anything that gives you worries or anything like that?
No. Like you said, the running back depth is the only thing that it was concerning as far as transferring goes. You can't do anything about guys leaving because they're going to the league. But like Jordan Newbin, again, like what you said, like it's tough, but I want him to get all the carries in the world too.
Right.
And this might not be the place for him to do that. So I hope he goes and has 400 or 500-yard games next year
Right,
somewhere
right.
else.
Just
So,
balls out. Just go
oh yeah,
crazy.
oh
Just
yeah,
make us look foolish for not
yeah.
keeping him.
Unless you're in the Big Ten, then
Yeah,
maybe.
then don't.
Yeah,
Then
go to
well,
the
then you
SEC. Yeah,
can, just not when you play us. How about
yeah,
that? We'll
yeah,
go with
yeah.
that.
There you go. There you go.
All right, bet. All right, so I want to play a game with you. We got to talk about the flip side of it. So we don't have a ton of transfers that have left so far. There could still be people who decide to hit the portal, and that would be unfortunate, but we'll see what happens there. We'll talk about that as it comes. But I want to talk about the names that are visiting the Gophers, could be potential future Gophers. And I know if you know Tristyn Spann-Ford, if you've ever listened to the two of us before, he's not a stats guy. He is not a go crazy on the research type of guy.
Nope.
So a lot of these guys, he's probably not going to know. So I've prepared. I've looked up in some information. I've looked into some of the measurements of these guys and what have you.
I,
And I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about these different transfer options. But then after I do that, Tristyn, I want you to rate them on a scale of 1 to 5 for excitement and why. Now, it could be any reasoning. It could be football related. It could be anything else related. Anything that sparks your curiosity. I want a rating of 1 to 5 on excitement and why.
I
Sound
like
good?
that. I will base my entire opinion on you based off of your name. That's all I need to know is the name, especially as far as football players go. That's all I need,
There's a couple in here that are going to get a 5 out of 5 on name alone. So hopefully
and
you'll.
that's fine. And that's fine. Those are the ones I'm here for.
All right. So the first one is actually already committed to the Gophers. He locked in right away. He said, "I wait no more. Lock me in. Let's do it." It's a quarterback actually from Georgia Tech. His name is Zach Pyron. Like I said, he comes from Georgia Tech. He had one real start in this past season. Haynes King was their starter. He was a backup, but when he did have to start because Haynes King was injured, he had to start against a ranked Notre Dame team. They were the ninth in the country in total defense. They were third in the country in pass defense, and he went out and he was 20 for 36, so like 56% passing. Not amazing, but not terrible. 269 yards and a touchdown, but he did have 2 picks. So overall, like I would say it's pretty decent when you're a backup that doesn't really get the opportunity to see live reps and snaps, and all of a sudden here play against a ranked team and put up almost 300 yards. That was impressive to me. But you can see what he does against a high quality defense, and so that's great. And a backup quarterback, or if he were to win a starting job, at least you know the potential is there, and that makes this super intriguing for me. But I need to know scale 1 to 5. How are we feeling about Zach Pyron?
Zach Pyron. Now, Pyron kind of sounds like Pyro. And I did see a photo of him earlier, and he does have red hair. I like that. That's consistent. That's consistent. He seems like a guy who might not win a bunch of games, but he's always going to cover the spread. And I like that. So that's where I'm at with him. I'm going to give him a strong 4. A strong
4. He'll get you that money, but
Yep.
we'll see if he'll get you the dub.
Exactly.
All right, next one up. Cole Cabana. Now, this dude is a running back. We just talked about we need running backs. Not only is he a running back, he is a running back from Michigan from the class of 2023, meaning he was in the same class as Darius Taylor. He was actually ranked as the #1 running back in Michigan. Darius Taylor was the #2 running back in Michigan. Both of them were sought after by Michigan, and Cole Cabana went to Michigan. Now he's transferring from Michigan, stud running back who hasn't really got to see the field, but I think he could be extremely complimentary of Darius Taylor because he's a speed guy. He's got some speed to him. He can catch the ball out of the backfield, which we've seen Gophers backs have to do in this offensive system we just saw. And then him and Darius Taylor are familiar with each other, so maybe that relationship can actually help him get here. I've spoken with a couple people on the side and some DMs and whatnot, and it actually sounds like a legitimate chance he is visiting the Gophers in an upcoming weekend, so there's a shot here. How are we feeling on Cole Cabana?
Cabana is a pretty warm word, but he's from Michigan.
He's from Michigan.
So he's got grit. You know he's got grit if he's from Michigan. It's cold there. Give me a 3. I don't think I want to buy a jersey with Cabana on it, but I do love that if he was better than Darius in high school, better in quotes, obviously.
Right.
I would love to have him on my team because I don't want Darius Taylor to ever graduate.
Right. And I mean, you get the 1-2 punch of them. We just saw Marcus Major had the 2 punch, so maybe Cole Cabana can come be the #2 and fire and ice. And if injuries happen, you have a little bit more assurance knowing this dude was a top dude in high school. So I
Oh,
like him
yeah.
a lot as a prospect. Next one up, Stephen Curtis, defensive end from Illinois State. So not a banging school, but overall, he had 47 tackles, 5 sacks, 3 forced fumbles last season. He has 2 years of eligibility left, and he could step right in and compete with an Anthony Smith, a Jackson Howard, a Manuel Carmo. We're losing both of our edge rushers in Danny Sturgow and Jaw Joyner, the starters. So he could be a guy who steps in right away. But how are we feeling about Stephen Curtis?
Based on the necessity of him, because our D line is going to be depleted. We need D linemen. I'm going to give him a 5. Based on his name, I'm going to give him a 1. That's not a fun name. That's not a fun name at all.
Step the name up. That's not on you, Stephen. That's on your parents. Just kidding.
Maybe we find out what his middle name is. We'll call
Yes,
him by his middle name.
yes,
Maybe
yeah.
he's got a
Or
pretty cool middle name.
maybe he's already got a nickname, and that's what we can lock in with right
It's
there.
probably like Andrew. It's probably Andrew.
All right, we're moving to the next one. The next one, I already know where your rating is going to be for multiple reasons. His name is Trech Kekahuna, and he's a wide receiver from Wisconsin. Like, he played with the Badgers last year. It's always great to steal a rival player, but this dude is actually legit. When I prepared for the Wisconsin breakdowns before that game, he was a guy that I was like, you have to know where he's at on the field. He was a redshirt freshman last year, and as a redshirt freshman, he had 339 yards and 2 touchdowns, and there were games where he was just balling. So how are we feeling about Trech Kekahuna, the Hawaiian? Where are we at here?
He's Hawaiian too?
He's Hawaiian,
Oh,
bro.
yeah, that's a 10. I mean, it's
A
a scale
10 out of 5.
I give him a 10 out of 5. Like, come on, come home. Let's flip that W into an M. It's going to be great.
Come see what the Axe feels like live and in
What I'm
person.
saying. That's what I'm saying. Like, imagine the merch, the NIL money you can make with the name Trech.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, next one, another wide receiver, Isaiah Satenga. He is coming from Arkansas. I don't know if they have a real shot at him. I don't know if there's interest. I don't know if the Gophers have interest. I don't know if he has interest, but I put him on this list solely because Drake Lindsey, who is supposedly going to be the quarterback one, probably leads that race right now. He has been just really flirting with this dude on Twitter. He has been like, ooh, I like this guy, or ooh, come play with the Gopher. Like, he's literally just been tweeting purple devil emojis and all this other thing. I'm like, boy, everybody, you know Twitter is public, right? Everybody can see your face. But overall, he's super athletic, super fast. I'm not sure how realistic it is, but I want to know your feelings on Isaiah Satenga.
Satenga is a great name. Arkansas, that gives me red flags. I've never met a person from Arkansas. Have you ever met somebody from Arkansas?
Drake Lindsey is from Arkansas, the quarterback.
Okay, I guess I've never met him. Okay, that's intriguing. That's intriguing. Or is 2 people from Arkansas even bigger red flag?
It's too much. It's too much.
Too many Arkansasians.
All right, next one, another wide receiver. So clearly high priority ticket item for the Gophers, wide receiver. We've already talked about Daniel Jackson leaving. We talked about Elijah Spencer leaving. But this name might not be sexy, but I am very intrigued. Malachi Coleman, a wide receiver from Nebraska. He was like, enough with Matt Rule, enough with these Cornhuskers, enough with Big Red. I need to get out of here. But he has the Gophers as his first visit for the transfer portal. He's also looking at Boise State. He's looking at Iowa State. He's looking at Michigan State. But he said the Gophers get the first visit. He's 6'5". He's super fast. Very intriguing. How are you feeling about Malachi Coleman, who is super highly sought after in this portal, but also was a top 65 recruit in that class of 2023 with Darius Taylor and all of them? So top 100 guy.
So I actually have that name written down on my notes.
Ooh.
When I was getting ready for the show, I wrote his name and I got 4 question marks right behind him because that's all the information I have on him. But how many years has he been at Nebraska?
2. So he redshirt 2 years ago, and then this year he was a redshirt freshman.
So he's been here at least, like, for game atmosphere and whatnot. At least one.
I don't think so, because this year they wouldn't have. We didn't play them, and the year before he was a redshirt, so he probably didn't travel with the team.
Fair enough. I was gonna say, because if he's been to the environment like on game days, like, that is He should come here. I think he's a 5. He's a 5 because Malachi, great name. That's a great name. And
I
so
knew as soon as you said you took notes that he was a 5 on this one. I was like, you
yeah,
took notes?
I took a note. By taking notes, I wrote his name down. I just want to show you I'm trying.
Yes, I appreciate it. Well, Malachi Coleman gets a 5 on the Tristyn scale. Now we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys left to talk about. Really 4, because the 5th one I didn't do too much due diligence on. But next guy up is Rushan Lawrence. He's a defensive lineman from Stony Brook. So again, not another world beater, but overall 37 tackles last year, 6 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, and big man had an interception. Now he graded as an 86.8 on PFF, which is a great grade for any defensive player, but he also is super versatile. He played on the interior. He also played on the outside, so you can move him all around on that defensive line. How are we feeling about Rushan Lawrence, excuse me.
How big is he?
That's a great question. I'll look it up as you give me the rest of
my bad. I didn't know you didn't have it in front of you. I'm needing to know how big he is, because if this is a man-sized man, then I want it.
6'2", 270.
Oh, yeah, that's a big boy. Yeah. Yeah. Come on here.
All right. So you didn't give me a 1 to 5. We got to stay consistent. Come on.
My bad. Give me it's a 4. Give me a 4.
Okay.
We need D-line. We need D-line.
All right. Next two, I'm excited. Okay. For the first one, Gabe Powers, linebacker, Ohio State. He is visiting with the Gophers, coming from Ohio State. Last year he didn't play much. He had 5 tackles, but he did have an interception in that little bit of playing time he had. He only played in 4 games, so I'm wondering, can he keep his red shirt and be able to have more eligibility here? He's also visiting Wisconsin and Kansas State, but Minnesota will be the last visit. So a lot of times, if they feel really good, they might have commit ahead of time. But if they're like, hey, I want to feel out the whole process, and he sets these multiple visits knowing when they are, usually they'll maybe go through them all. And if you can get him there, you're the final visit. So you do leave the last impression. So we could have a decent chance. But how are we feeling about the Ohio State linebacker and Gabe Powers?
That's a 5. That sells jerseys. Powers as a linebacker? Like, that's what you're supposed to do. That's your whole thing, is power. So I love that. Any Ohio State player that transfers, I feel like you gotta give him a look.
Right. I mean, it's not like the Gophers are world beaters at this point now.
Yeah.
We will be if we can start to take on the scraps of some of these big dogs, and then we're like, oh, guess what? Half these scraps, they're good. They just didn't get playtime. I mean, Christian Driver was at Penn State, and the little moments I got to see him, I was excited. I think he's going to be wide receiver 1 on this team unless we bring in some huge big dog like Tretch Kakahuna. No, I'm just playing. But
great name. Oh, Tretch comes. I'm the number 1 Tretch fan if he's here.
He's already claimed it. Nobody else gets that title.
Exactly.
All right, next player on the list, I already know the grade. His name is Matt McDoom. He is a cornerback from Coastal Carolina. He is visiting. He was a first-team All-Sun Belt player, so an all-conference player, fits the vibe like we've seen with Ethan Robinson, like we've seen with Trayvon Jones. Matt McDoom could be the next one of that. And get this, last year he had 36 tackles, 10 pass breakups, 3 interceptions. The year before that, he had another 10 pass breakups. This dude is a magnet to the ball, and he is visiting Missouri, Minnesota, Virginia Tech, and Virginia. So we have a decent shot in this one. How are you feeling about the boy, Matt McDoom?
You had me at McDoom, and you knew that. You knew that. That's insane. That's a great name. Like, I bet dude is a baller. Why? Don't even cancel the Virginia trips. You don't need to go to. Why would you want to live in Virginia? You don't want to live in Virginia. Virginia is just the lower version of basically what Minnesota is. We got woods here. We got trees here. You need to go to Virginia for it.
You ain't wrong. We got woods and trees, and we got cities. We got real cities, not the little dinky cities. We got the real ones.
It's the perfect combo.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm with you. Matt McDoom, you might as well make your way over. We're ready for you. All right, last 2 names. The first one is Javon Tracy, wide receiver from Miami of Ohio. He is visiting. He was a productive MAC receiver. He had 348 yards and 2 touchdowns as a freshman, 818 yards and 7 touchdowns this last year as a sophomore. And Minnesota has found some gems from the G5. Elijah Spencer, Corey Crooms, some of the guys that have come in the last few years. How are you feeling about Javon Tracy?
I like that. Sorry, I keep forgetting to give a rank. Give me a 3. I don't love Miami of Ohio.
Yeah.
That's basically it. That's basically it. I bet he's a great kid. I bet he sounds like he's great at football. Come play here. Take off the Miami of Ohio uniform, and I'll probably move you to a 5.
I was gonna say he's basically telling us he doesn't love the Miami of Ohio either because
Yeah,
he's
that's
like,
true.
let me
That's
hit this
true. He
portal.
knows. He agrees. He agrees. That's the only thing that got me.
All right, final name. I didn't do a ton of due diligence. Drew Biber, tight end from Purdue, 113 yards last year. Not a lot of time prior to that, but Purdue was doo doo last year with a 1-11 record. So, how you feeling about Drew Biber?
Drew Biber. I don't like that last name, but I and our tight end room. Are we losing anyone? Right?
Callerup. We're losing Callerup, but we got a lot of young dudes in there. Pierce Walsh is a guy I think is going to pop off next year. You've got like Jacob Simpson. You've got I'm missing some of the other young guns. Sam Peters and a couple others that I cannot think of. Right, Julian
That's
Johnson. That's another
so
one.
many more than I would ever be able to think of.
Frank
Uh,
Bierman.
that's a good one. Okay, but I'm going to give him a 4 because I have a soft spot for tight ends. But
That
Biber,
checks
I
out.
don't know.
Checks out.
Biber's hard to. Biber, I don't know. I don't know. It's not his fault. He's probably a great kid.
Yeah, yeah. He didn't get to choose his last name,
No,
but
none of these kids.
unfortunately,
I'm sure all these guys are great people. Also, I'm just
yes.
playing.
We got to make content, folks. You're listening. If you're listening this far, clearly we're doing our jobs. If you're not listening this far, you haven't heard this, so it's all right. Anyways,
You're missing out.
we're gonna wrap up today's show talking about freshmen that excite us really quick, and then we're gonna talk about the bowl game just really briefly. So one thing you'll notice about the show and being new. We don't have to do ad breaks right now. So we're going to jump right in to the freshmen that excite us. Do you have any names that were standing out in this year's class when it comes to the true freshmen?
First of all, how about this? Daniel Jackson.
Yes. Yes.
You lose a Daniel Jackson, you get a Daniel Jackson back.
Except for he doesn't use his hands, he uses his feet.
And he's white. It's a white
And
kicker,
he's white.
but he couldn't possibly be more of an opposite than the Daniel Jackson we had before. But if history tells us anything, every Daniel Jackson to play for the Gophers is a dominant player.
A+ name. History
A+
maker.
name. We don't have to print any new jerseys.
No,
just got
no.
changing numbers.
He has to take number 9. Yep.
The store's just changing numbers. We're good.
I'm with it. Daniel Jackson's a good one. On my side, I think Emmanuel Carmo, the highest rated guy in the class, number 1 kid in the state of Minnesota. Look, Coy Parrish was the number 1 kid in the state of Minnesota. You saw what he did. Jackson Howard went to LSU. Now he's back with Minnesota. I'm excited for what he's going to do. I think Emmanuel Carmo can be just as talented as one of those guys. A lot of people came in at the last minute and were trying to pull him. Wisconsin was trying to pull him. He said, nah, I'm trying to see the axe. So overall, I'm really excited about Emmanuel Carmo. Any other freshmen that you want to give a shout to in this year's class?
Jaquan Stubbs from Ohio. I didn't watch a lot of film. All I saw is 6'6", 265. That's a grown man. That's an adult. Like, he is man amongst boys. So I'm excited to see. Just his size alone makes you think like he's ready to come in and play right away. Like, that could be a true freshman name that we toss around. So,
I'm going to butcher the name, but the 2 names, all-time names. All-time names. We'll see if they're all-time players. I hope they are. They're both on the defensive line. We just talked about how we're going to need them. Enoch Atwagbola. I'm going to get it eventually. I know I probably butchered it right now, but we'll get there. And then Abu Tarwali. Both of those guys, I think, have a lot of potential. 6'4", 215, 6'3", 275. Both grown men, both ready to work with Coach Winston Delatibadier. I got that name down eventually, so like I said, I'll get there. But overall, both of those guys are intriguing to me. I don't think they're guys that'll play in this next year. But they're guys that can learn behind Devin Eastern, guys that can learn behind an Anthony Smith, Jalen Logan Redding, who is back. So overall, I like the depth we're building on the defensive trenches, and hopefully we continue to build it on the offensive trenches as well.
Agreed.
Also, last one we got to throw out for these two all-time names on the freshman class. Hopefully they are all-time players. Wide receiver Legend Lions. That's a 5 out of 5 name right there.
Easy.
And then Rhett. I can't even try, dude. I can't even try. We're gonna get there.
You have to try. You have to try.
Halavaka.
Nice. We should clip that and just make sure we remember how you said that.
Let's erase that from the history of the internet. All right. Final thing we got to talk about today is that bowl game. We are officially going bowling. Wisconsin is not. It feels good, but overall, it's not. It's not any just the Detroit Bowl or the Hawaii 5-0 Bowl. I don't even think that's a real one, but I'm just some of these bowls. It's just like name a company. Here it is. No, we got the Duke's Mayo Bowl. If you're not in a Tier 1 bowl, this is the bowl you want. I don't care about any of these other Tier 2 bowls. I don't care about any of the Tier 3 bowls. If you are telling me a coach gets mayo dumped on them after they get the win and everybody knows about it, everybody knows about the Duke's Mayo Bowl. Everybody talks about the Duke's Mayo Bowl. That means more eyes are going to be on the Duke's Mayo Bowl, which means if you ball out and get that win, people are going to give you more respect heading into the next year because they're going to remember what happened with the Duke's Mayo Bowl. How are you feeling about Duke's Mayo, man?
Very, very, very excited because this is probably one of the better bowls we've been in the last 6 years, and all we do is win bowl games. So it's hard not to be excited for a bowl game. I am sad this year. It'll be my first bowl game where my brother doesn't come home and give me all the merch that he gets for the bowl game. So that's tough for me.
Right,
But
and this was the one to really get it from, too. Like,
I know they probably get a ton of cool stuff. Last year he came home, he's got a Bluetooth speaker for my kid. It's tough. It's tough. That's sad, bittersweet. But I'm still super excited. I cannot wait. PJ to get dumped on with the mayo. It's gonna be great.
we got to get the dub. We got to get the dub. But if I get to see PJ Fleck get dunked on with mayo, I feel like everybody celebrates that. The Gophers would love it because super iconic and you get this moment. And like the haters like Iowa and Wisconsin, like they clearly want something. Like they've probably wanted to dunk mayo on PJ Fleck just for existing. So like everybody wins. Everybody gets a dub on that one.
It is a win-win-win.
All right, that's going to do it for us on our first episode of the Gopher Broke podcast. Hopefully you guys will tap in, stay tapped in, subscribe, like, comment, share it everywhere you can. Help other Gophers fans find it. We're no longer at Locked On, but we are still covering your Golden Gophers. Any final words for the folks at home?
I got nothing until next week. We'll be back. We'll be back.
We're going to keep adding. We're going to maybe get a theme song to this thing, and we're just going to keep on growing, I guess. We'll see what happens with it all. But until next time, we'll see you here at the Gopher Broke podcast.
Froze.